Picture this, somewhere between the cornfields of Indiana and the land of, you should really try my aunt's casserole, sits a town so small, its welcome sign doubles as its goodbye. Maplewood, population, depends if the Henderson twins moved back yet. It's the kind of town where Friday night football is religion, every mailbox leans a little, and everyone knows who's dating who before the couple themselves do. And in the heart of this town, right off Route 19, next to a gas station that still sells VHS tapes, is Millie's Diner. Now, Millie's isn't fancy. It's got red vinyl booths that squeak when you shift your weight, a jukebox that only works when you hit it twice, and a neon sign that blinks like it's Morse coding for help. But to the locals, it's more than a place to eat, it's where stories happen. And today, our story's about a woman named Grace Monroe, age 34, marketing manager turned reluctant local, who's about to learn that eating alone might just be the most delicious kind of freedom there is. The bell over the door jingled as Grace stepped inside. She wore a navy trench coat, her hair tucked up like someone trying to look casual but hiding from recognition. She'd moved back to Maplewood 6 months ago after a messy breakup and a burnout that could have powered the town's streetlights. City life had spit her out like sunflower seed shells. Now, she was back home, single, slightly cynical, and unsure how to fill a Friday night. "Morning, sweetheart," called Millie from behind the counter. Millie was 73, built like a teapot, and spoke like she'd seen every possible human mood twice. "Your usual table." Grace hesitated. Actually, just me today." Millie raised an eyebrow. "Good for you." Grace blinked. "Good for me." "Yep, people always think eating alone means something's wrong. But honey, half the world's chaos happens in groups." Millie winked and handed her a menu. "Booth by the window's yours." Grace slid into the booth, her purse sitting across from her like a stand-in dinner date. Outside, Main Street buzzed softly, pickups rumbling by, a kid on a bike swerving between cracks, the barber sweeping hair into the gutter. She looked around the diner. Couples, families, a few old-timers arguing about baseball stats. Everyone seemed to belong to someone. Grace fidgeted with her napkin. And this, dear listeners, is where it starts, the inner monologue of every solo diner. You know the one. Do I look weird sitting here alone? Should I pretend to text someone? Maybe I'll order quickly and leave before anyone notices I'm single. But what Grace didn't know was that eating alone wasn't a sign of loneliness. It was a skill, one she was about to master like a pro chef in emotional Michelin training. Millie brought over a mug of coffee that smelled like nostalgia and caffeine dependence. "First cups on the house," she said. "You look like someone learning to enjoy her own company." Grace smirked. "That obvious, huh?" Millie leaned in. "Honey, this is Maplewood. Everything's obvious." As Grace sipped her coffee, a man in overalls across the diner called out, "Eating alone, huh? You know you're supposed to at least pretend to read a book or something." Grace looked up. "I left my novel in the car. Guess I'll just have to sit here, with my thoughts." The diner chuckled. The man grinned. "Dangerous choice." It wasn't mean-spirited, though. That's the thing about small towns, the teasing's just another way of saying we see you. Grace ordered pancakes, bacon, and a side of hash browns, because if you're going to eat alone, you might as well eat like royalty. When the plate arrived, she hesitated before digging in. For once, she didn't take a photo for social media or wait for someone to comment. She just ate. And it was glorious. The first bite hit like a revelation, warm syrup, crisp bacon, the sound of chatter blending with the hum of the milkshake machine. In that moment, Grace wasn't lonely, she was alive. Because eating alone isn't an absence, it's an act of presence. It's hearing your own thoughts and realizing they're not that bad. Outside, the wind picked up, sending red maple leaves swirling like slow-motion confetti. Grace smiled at her reflection in the window, just her, a plate of comfort food, and no need to impress a soul. That's when Millie's son, Jack, a 30-something mechanic with grease-stained hands and an unshakable grin, came over with a refill. "You knew around here?" he asked, even though everyone in town knew exactly who she was. "Moved back a few months ago," Grace said. The return of the hometown hero." Grace laughed. "More like the hometown dropout." Jack shrugged. "Same thing, depending on how good the story ends." He grinned, and for a moment, Grace realized something unexpected. Talking to someone because you want to, not because you're avoiding silence, hits differently. That night, she walked home under the glow of string lights hung between storefronts. The air smelled like rain and pie crust. She passed the closed flower shop, the antique store with the rocking horse in the window, and the faded movie theater marquee still advertising Top Gun: Maverick. Here's the thing about solitude, it doesn't announce itself with violins and self-help quotes. It creeps in quietly, in moments like these, walking home after pancakes for one, realizing you're not performing for anyone, not chasing approval, not waiting for conversation to fill the space. Grace didn't know it yet, but she'd just crossed a threshold, from eating alone, to dining with herself. Saturday night in Maplewood. The air hums with crickets, the stars blink like gossiping porch lights, and Millie's Diner, God bless her, stays open late for anyone chasing comfort food or clarity. And Grace Monroe, she's back again. Same booth, same coffee, new peace of mind. But tonight, something's different. Tonight, she's about to discover that eating alone happily can look suspiciously like belonging. Grace set down her phone, no scrolling, no playlists, just the low hum of old jukebox tunes. A young couple nearby was mid-argument about whose turn it was to do laundry. A teenager sat at the counter drawing superheroes on napkins. And Millie, she was wiping down menus with the patience of a saint and the strength of someone who'd seen generations come and go. Jack leaned over the counter. Back again, huh? You're gonna get a frequent diner card if you keep this up. Grace smiled. I'm here for the pancakes. And the peace. Both on special tonight. He poured her coffee, and for a moment, neither spoke. The silence wasn't awkward, it was comfortable, like the diner itself. Millie called from the kitchen, Grace, you eating alone again? Grace grinned. Yep. Good. Keep practicing. You're getting better at it. The teenager laughed. Wait, you can get better at eating alone? Millie didn't even look up. Kid, you can get better at anything if you do it with intention. And just like that, the diner fell into a rhythm, plates clinking, laughter rising, the kind of easy warmth that only happens when people stop pretending life's supposed to look perfect. Then came the outsider moment. Every diner has one. A traveling salesman walked in, tired and overdressed for the setting. He scanned the room and asked, table for one. The words hung there, heavy, embarrassed. Grace caught his glance, the awkward mix of apology and self-consciousness. So she raised her mug. Best seat in the house, she said, smiling. He blinked, then laughed. Guess I'm in good company. You are, Grace said. Trust me. He sat across the room, ordered meatloaf, and something shifted in the air. You see, confidence is contagious. Grace didn't just eat alone anymore, she modeled it, like a quiet revolution in a red vinyl booth. Because somewhere between the first sip of coffee and the last bite of pie, she'd realized something profound. Solitude isn't the absence of connection, it's the space where connection becomes authentic. The clock ticked past midnight. Jack dimmed the lights. Millie locked the door. Grace stayed a bit longer, finishing her pie in silence, watching the reflection of the neon sign flicker across her mug. For once, she didn't feel the need to rush home, or check her phone, or fill the air with anything but breath. She felt, of all things, content. Here's what they don't tell you about eating alone. It's an act of rebellion. Against the noise, against the pressure to always be with someone, against the lie that happiness needs company. Grace Monroe sat in that diner, fork in hand, and learned the art of savoring life on her own terms. Because solitude, when seasoned with self-respect and a dash of humor, tastes better than any shared meal forced by fear of quiet. As she paid the bill, Millie patted her hand. You did it, sweetheart. Grace laughed. What, finished the pie? No, Millie said. Finished the lesson. That night, Grace walked out into the cool air, stars gleaming above the dark cornfields. The diner's neon flickered behind her. Millie's, open late for whatever you're hungry for. She smiled at that. And in the narrator's warm drawl, we close out. So, dear listeners, here's your takeaway, pun absolutely intended. Eating alone isn't sad, it's sacred. It's proof that you can enjoy your own company without apology. Grace Monroe came back to a small town and found something the city never taught her. Peace doesn't come from a crowded table. It comes from learning to love your own booth. So next time you find yourself at a diner, restaurant, or food court table for one, don't scroll, don't rush, don't hide. Sit down, order what you really want, and savor every bite, because happiness, it's served one plate at a time.
Daily happiness and motivation is hitting in. Like and subscribe.